I saw a picture in the Detroit News of a woman federal marshal in front of the federal courthouse in Miami with a shotgun on her hip. And she was a very attractive young woman. And as soon as I saw that picture, I thought, that's a book.
I think what I relate most easily to in Elmore Leonard's work is the sense of irony. It's that tone. It's a very odd tone.
Now you be a good girl, now I'm gonna open up the jar.
It's funny, but it's not gag funny, and it's dramatic, but it's not, you know, really heavy. When I read the script to Out of Sight, I just felt like I knew what that tone was.
Photo Marshal, you're under arrest.
Then my job was to convince Jersey Films and Clooney, who was already attached, that I wasn't kidding.
There's no whole lot of action driving the film. It's a character piece, but it's the kind of characters that Elmore Leonard writes. They're very smart, very full characters, and it's a really exciting project for that alone. It's something fun to do, and it's also the best actors you could ever hope to work with.
What are you doing here?
It's okay, honey. We're the good guys.
Oh, stop! All right. You're just a girl. What do you do for a living, you pack a shotgun?
I'm a federal marshal and you're under arrest.
Karen, besides being a really good part for a woman, was difficult to cast because she had to be feminine and sexy and appealing.
Get your hands in the air! Stop!
And she also had to be believable as a cop. When she picked up a gun and used that stick,
Damn it!
you needed to believe she could hurt you.
You wanted to tussle.
And that, combined with having some sort of rapport with George, made it a tall order. We saw a lot of people, and something about Jennifer just really worked.
You still look fresh as a daisy.
She was great, but what really struck me was George was better with her than I'd seen him be with anybody else. Something in her pushed him, and that's what really convinced me, oh, that's going to work.
Can I buy you a drink?
And background action, and action.
Thing was George's idea, and I thought a really good one, because you just believe him. I mean, there's an integrity to him.
I really wanted Ving to do this, and we really kind of had to seduce him into it. In fact, I offered him, my girlfriend, which was painful to do. But hey, anything for the movie.
I'm the only man here married, and I'm happy. Everyone else here is melancholy.
He had an energy in this movie that I really liked. He was more emotional, than you see him a lot.
What's your problem, Jack?
He gets very animated at times and sort of agitated with Jack. I really liked that. I thought that was a great thing. It's not it's not in the script. It's just something that Ving felt really affects him, and he's really worried, and he expresses it. Whereas Jack is sort of more closed off.
Between you and I, Elmore, I don't know where you are right now, but I think you wrote Buddy as a blonde, blue-eyed man. He's not that any longer. He's a strong, bald-headed black man. Ving Rhames, the original man.
Buddy is white in the book, but it works perfectly. There's no reason why he wouldn't be African American.
Elizabeth Taylor falling.
Albert Brooks, who's just one of the funniest human beings on the planet.
Barbra Streisand falling.
Albert Brooks is sick.
Albert Brooks has no shot at all. He can't go left, he can't go right, he can't dribble. Well, he dribbles, but not with a basketball. It's just...
The great thing about Albert is that I knew that he'd do the funny stuff, but he could also play the guy who's just a bastard.
Why don't you show me you can change? Then I'll offer you something better, a lot better. But until then, my friend, you'll have to earn it.
His whole idea of, I want to play it bald, and I want to get out, and I want to have this terrible toupee, I just thought that was great. And he had these weird teeth that made him speak differently. His voice sounds different. It's like a lower register.
Hey, take it easy!
I took the part because I liked just to play somebody completely different than myself. You see the teeth and everything. And also I like the director, Steven Soderbergh, he's excellent. And that, to me, is a deciding factor. Even more than the other actors you're with is the director of a movie, because that's the person that's going to control it.
Steven Soderbergh is, well, he's not really directing the film.
We really have to hold his hand mostly through this process. He's young.
Soderbergh's drunk most of the time, so there's a big, She had not much to give. Other than like 8 o'clock in the morning, it might be okay for like a half hour.
So we try to help him, but we can only do so much. A lot of times we just say, Steve, just sit down. I'll direct this one. I'll take this one. You're a little rabbity.
If you can get Don Cheadle in your movie, I think you should get Don Cheadle in your movie.
Who's Don Cheadle?
I'm a huge fan of his, and he's got a pretty good jump shot. He can go left or right. He's very quick, but he's a little streaky when he shoots from outside.
Now let's talk about the sexiest man alive, Steven Soderbergh. He goes, I've never met an actress who takes direction as well as you, who hates to take direction. And I go, I don't hate to take direction. I just like my choices more than yours.
He's just one of the best directors you could ever work with. He takes a movie and he doesn't just shoot the script, he makes a movie out of it. He's really fun, really exciting.
Really, I think what he's done the best is cast the film in a way that he's got all the action going on already. You know, he's got us all doing what he hired us to do in the first place. So a lot of it, he just kind of sits back and says, yeah, good, do that again.
He has very definite cinematic ideas about this movie. I think Steven will make it look more unusual than the average person. He will sort of do things that maybe somebody else wouldn't.
The process of trying to figure out what the look and the feel of the film is going to be is sitting down and talking about the palette and talking about the feel of each of the locations. I always hate it when I see a movie where everything looks the same. The desert prison at Lompoc, there are obviously any number of ways we could have gone with the jumpsuits. I decided that yellow obviously would be the best, that you could have this kind of monochromatic, blown out feeling. I wanted glades to still feel kind of lush if possible, but have the colors be a little deeper and darker, and avoid the sort of aquas and yellows and oranges of Miami. Jack! In Buddy's apartment, more than any place else, the windows are really blown out, which we wanted to also associate with Miami. We were overexposing usually a minimum of 4 stops outside the window, because those are all sets, and we didn't want them to look like sets. Gunmetal blue, that's what I always had in mind when I thought of Detroit. So that opening montage to me needed to set that tone and have that real steely feel about it. So the palette in Detroit is very subdued. The colors are very muted. The exception being when we get to the Ripley House and we go inside. And for the first time in Detroit, we're in a sort of warm surrounding. When I came on board, the film was being told in chronological order. And Scott, Frank, and I both felt that was a problem because we weren't meeting Karen until 30 minutes into the film. And we just felt that was too long. And Scott said, I think we've got to use flashbacks. It was the only way to tell this story properly. And not just because of economy, not just because I didn't want to start the movie with 20 minutes of exposition, but also because I knew a scene like Jack going to see Ripley in his office about the job has more impact 90 minutes into the film than it would have 9 minutes into the film. You'd have nothing invested, and so the scene wouldn't have any weight. And I think I knew that it was better that we employ the flashback structure. And Leonard plays those tricks in his book a lot. The freeze frame idea was something that I knew ahead of time I wanted to do. But I didn't have a formula. I knew I was going to do it at the beginning. I knew that I wanted to freeze him in motion, you know, and have the title come on. But beyond that, I was going strictly on instinct. If you notice, the love scene is the last time we do it. I felt the movie was caught up and that we were now in the present and that there wasn't a need for that sort of commentary anymore.